It's okay.
Hey,
Hello, or good day, good evening, whatever it might be.
yeah, I came dressed to the occasion. I gave the idea to Julianne that what if we I've been thinking about this whole thing about humanness because ever since I was a child, I didn't even quite understand why that was such a horrible thing for people to hear. But I always told everyone, I'm not coming back as a human anymore. This is it. I'm done. We we are finished. And that was kind of a bizarre thing for a child to say, and I didn't find anything strange in it. And today I was walking in the woods, and it kind of hit me like this will be it for my human experience. And what does it entail? The thing is, humanity's been so manipulated for such a long time, yet we possess all kinds of incredible abilities within us. And one thing that is almost enabling our abilities of creating things for us is our DNA. We carry, I read a beautiful poem when I was in a really dark place in my life. And just, I don't remember the author who wrote the poem, but even now I get emotional when I think about it. And I was like, you are a result of thousands of loves. It doesn't end here. And that is so true. We are results of thousands and probably millions of love. And our life isn't just in this human suit, but while we're in it,
Mhm.
why not grasp the full potential of what it has to offer? And it's not just what we are capable of, but what memories do we hold within us? I was thinking about this whole separation between the worlds of 3D to 5D. It's a bit of a quantum leap, and we're doing it in our bodies. And when it comes to ascension, everyone will ascend. Everyone. It's just that the time frame may be different. And there are different ways in which people are choosing to ascend, and maybe they can't ascend in this human body. So they are moving from this human body in different ways. Or maybe, like many of us, like I can speak of myself, of Juliann, we had a job to do here. We came for the job. I was I'm repeating myself a little bit. I made another short video today, and I was kind of amusing. This week was a bit different to me, and I found myself sitting in a cafe on 3 separate days. That was more than usually. I mean, I was amongst the people, and I was watching at these new shiny babies, and I noticed that I haven't seen unshiny babies for a while. These new children that came here, they answered to the call, they chose to come. And they did, they do not come from this planet. They come from higher dimensions. And we could talk more about it on another time and another day, but we are now in our human bodies. But we also hold the memory of our ancestors, our forefathers and our foremothers. And I started to think about, I know a bit about my paternal family's movement to this country, and I've been very interested. I've researched for decades about this history of dressing, and my paternal family started the migration when the Ottomans started to get ushered away from Austria-Hungary in the very early 1700s. And through there, we moved through Romania, and there was Moldavia and Belarus and Russia, etc., to the very north of Finland, and then through Lapland and Samiland, which is the indigenous Finnish people. And I can tell more about that, but I thought I'd come dressed to the occasion here.
Yes, you are
Channeling
definitely
my
more
true
prepared.
babushka.
You
So
are
what
definitely
about you,
more prepared.
Juliann?
Well, honestly, I hadn't given it a lot of thought, but like when you started out talking about how since you were a child or young, you'd had an awareness of some of this. And, you know, it's been a fairly new thing for me to have that awareness in the degree that we are having it revealed to us, right? Growing up in this particular lifetime, obviously, when I came into the world, you know, the veil was there. So it's not like I had a natural awareness of my past lives and anything like that. And in fact, you know, growing up in small town America with the dogma with the church and all that kind of stuff, many of the things that I've opened up my world, or that have opened up in my world, have been things that were like a no, that's not good. That's going to bring in the bad stuff, or that's not the way to do it. And so, you know, that's a whole nother, you know, subject as well. And then realizing with the technologies, like a lot of people were doing their DNA testing, right? 23andMe, you know, and all those kind of things. Well, there's medical reasons, you know, that they were touting that and so forth. But, and I think there is more in there in the reports than they let us know, you know, as we, you know what I mean? As far, yeah, because we're finding out that, well, we're getting activated. We're activating more of our DNA. You know, we're finding out who we truly are. So it's more than just my family and the generations that I came from that are associated with this particular lifetime. And yes, there is, you know, we would have family reunions, which are kind of a dying breed anymore. I mean, a lot of times people don't have the time to get together with their generations of families. So that's kind of dropped off for me. But there have been some of the elders who have kept charts of where things, you know, where we were from. So I have a lot of history. And somebody had said it in a show too, that we're all basically just, you know, like a mutt or a Heinz 57. Like there's so many everything from human to off-world to you name it. But I would say from what I know, it's been Germany. I did get to go to Germany when I was younger and meet some family. Russia and Poland, you know, some of those areas is where my more recent, like, grandparents and great-grandparents came from. But yeah, it's a big deal to realize that the world opens up so much more when you realize who and what we are, and the fact of the lifetimes, like you said, the ascension process. And that's why we can get really sad if we let ourselves go back to it about people who pass or they have a tragic accident, or even these things that have happened recently in Hawaii. But realize that everybody ascends, and the ascension process just means that you go to source, or that you are, you know, leaving the body that you're in here on this earth. And if we're going to be ascending from this 3D into the 5D, those of us who are on a different track, we get a chance to do that without having to have our avatars pass away. But if somebody does, they still can ascend. It just happens a different way.
Yeah. And there are souls that still have lessons to learn.
Yep, exactly.
So even, and one message that was given to me today was, and it's not the first time either, like, let's say that other people may make choices that are not to our liking. Other people may choose to do different in life, don't judge. You have no idea what they are going through. You have no idea what purpose do they serve. Maybe they have made a preconceived contract of choosing to undergo certain, let's say, a treatment. Let's say they've chosen to undergo a certain kind of a protocol. As a result, something may or may not happen to them. But know that nothing happens in this world without a reason, without a consequence. They may very well have chosen to show other people what are the possibilities if you do this or do that, both the good and the bad. So never judge others, because we don't know what their mission in this life was. And when it comes to future, the only job for the future is to change. So allow the change in you and in the people around you and in the people you hear of and know of. Just because they choose differently than you doesn't mean they're wrong. It's
Yeah, it's
just
definitely a
different.
sign of maturity to be able to not necessarily agree, have a conversation, but then, still be friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That takes a bigger person and a little bit of practice.
yeah.
And yes, you're right. Nobody knows the station in life. And then the whole idea of realizing, well, for me, it was a big deal just to even realize that reincarnation was a thing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some things didn't necessarily add up as I was growing up, but it's not like I put a lot of thought into it. But again, certain cultures and certain institutions say, no, that's not good and that doesn't happen. And, don't dabble in all that. And then you realize it is a thing, it is true, and that we actually choose our life. And
Mm-hmm.
so that does change your perspective when you have all these things going on around you. It just gives you a sense of calm knowing that we've done these kinds of things hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of times.
Yeah.
So
And it's such a shame because human life is so, what is so different to other lifetimes is that we come here without the memory of past lifetimes,
right.
without the memory of where we came from, or that is usually that way. And maybe that even has been a kind of a blessing in disguise. Because I remember just how excruciating it was to return every morning to this human suit. When I told my people, I don't want to go back. I'm staying here. You have no idea what's going on down there. You wouldn't even begin to comprehend how messed up everything is. And they told me, your job hasn't finished yet. You have to go back. And then I would find myself again as a teeny tiny toddler. So frustrating, so frustrating to just look around you and see and realize how wrong so many things were. So this, whenever I hear people lamenting, like, I wish I remembered, I've no recollection. Well, good on you. It may have saved you for a lifetime of frustration and I don't want to say anxiety. I think it's a bit overused expression, and but it is very, it's like it kind of like eats you up, and you gain this very kind of a done with it attitude when you do
Right.
remember and you do return time and time again to finish up what you started with. But that
Yeah.
is what we chose to do here.
I say I'm on
And
the opposite spectrum of you. You know, you have had that recollection for most likely many lifetimes, and that is not anything that I have a recollection of. But what we can do in looking forward to this ascension process is relearning, you know, remembering, you know, who we are and where we came from. And sometimes we address those things in order to move ahead and solve or basically address some of the things that we have had to deal with in our lifetime now.
And another thing is that I was told that basically the burden of remembering would have been too much for you. That would have been very kind of a detrimental to you, considering the environment in which you were living, the frequency of the collection, like they are telling me, collection of humans around you. They would not have been, like I remembered, I'm lucky I didn't get burned at the stake at all the things I said. Like I just basically started, ever since there was a gathering, I started announcing who are going to die and who are going to get babies. I thought that was a great news. I mean, great news for babies to come and great news for people to get out from this place. Turns out they weren't that happy, especially the older people. They weren't so appreciative at all. I was like, what's wrong with you people? I was like, I'd be elated.
Was that in this lifetime as a child? Okay. Yeah.
So basically, if all that knowledge that you have were given to you as a child, they are telling me you would have ended up much worse than I ever did.
Yeah. Well, I think that I picked a safer, quieter life this time around.
Yeah, it's almost like you needed to, it was for your protection.
Right.
Like they are showing me almost like a veil was like covering your eyes, and you needed to walk through life with this veil. And only when you were ready and your environment was ready and you were in control of your own life and the consequences in the life, only then the veil could be lifted off.
Which is why everybody's journey is unique. And that's why, again, I've noticed in this process, you know, it's not like something that you can study for or attain. You know, I mean, you have no control over it. So you just need to sit back and let the universe, let your higher self lead you, because it is, you know, when it is in your highest and best good is when you will be told or be known these things.
It is true. And that's the reason also a lot of people who came here for the service don't have recollection of it. And they are telling me now, when I say they, I'm basically talking about my Andromedans. I had a bit of a team meeting just before the before the Zoom, and they, you know, stayed for the ride. And they are telling me like that is the reason why majority of the people, like I'm talking about our age group ish, like within a couple of good hefty decades, like there are quite a bit of us who were called and who answered the call in different kind of different tasks and different variety, like heaviness, they give me denseness of energy was chosen by us. That was a preconceived contract before we came here, and a lot of these people have no idea. But that is why there is this, oftentimes people have this feeling like, why did I come here? Why did I come? Like, what is my life's meaning? This is why people have been asking, what is the meaning of life? What is my meaning of being here? There needs to be a meaning, because they still recognize the call that they answered to. They just don't remember. They haven't yet remembered the job that they took upon. But many of these new shining babies that come here, they are much more, they are born to an environment that is much more tolerable and much more open and awake. Just today I was looking at these pictures of I went to the library and I got a good few books, surprise surprise, but this is this is about dresses across history. And I noticed that I could basically, just from my paternal human side, I could kind of track what kinds of dresses people have been wearing. Like these were from the, there you can see, these were technical drawings that were found. And surprise, surprise, there's a magical word like Tartar. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
with the Tartarian influence, these hungry dresses. I want to show just a couple of pictures because, dresses, and this is both man and a woman.
Yeah.
Like this, I just want to see what is being shown. Like you can find, even I found books with actual kind of a raw drafted patterns to dresses. So I can basically look at these beautiful, beautiful garments that people wore back in the days, and even these vulgar fins. So heavy, so large. So these were the traditional garb that was worn back in the days.
And wouldn't you say, Dana, that whatever the history and the garb, the clothing was, first of all, they could be very ornate, and there was meaning to the things that they put either on the clothing or the reason why they would wear certain things.
Yeah.
There was an actual reason for it that would be passed down to the generations, and certainly it was a quality fabric, or it was something that was treasured and taken care of.
Yeah, because it was hand woven. And I've been reading about the textiles and materials. Usually they were linen, 100% linen, and 100% wool. And they would raise the sheep by themselves. Like my grandmother, she had linen, like flax growing in her garden, like there was a kind of a field, and she would take those when the flax was in a kind of like in a fluffy state, she would take the linen to the to whoever was doing the whole yarn spinning thing, washing and spinning, and then she would get the all the yarn back as ready, and she would weave her own fabrics. Like this, I didn't really inherit. This was the only thing I basically inherited, the silver brooch. And this was when we have in these, Northern and Slavic countries, we have these traditional garb that we do, and it's all been hand sewed from these kind of original, like people are hand weaving the fabric to the garbs, and you can buy it for appropriate sum of money because it's handmade. It's an investment. And there are nations like in Norway, it's a big thing you are dressed in your finest kind of a celebratory outfit when you're wearing this traditional garb. And I don't know which region of because they differ in regions. And one of the things is like Eastern Finland used to have this teresi, which is a sarafan, which is less ornamental than the sarafans usually were worn in Russia. I'm naturally drawn to the more ornamental side. So that's where I'm blaming it on the genes. That is where the Slavic and Russian and probably Ottoman, because nobody knows, but we had actually as kind of a study done from my paternal father's side, and that is they left the Austria-Hungary, which is now Austria-Hungary area, at the very beginning of the 1700s when the Ottomans were eradicated from there. So it is possible that our family had the Ottoman kind of a heritage there, because just judging by the look outside. Like I remember I was in school, and everyone used to ask me, so is your father, is he Japanese? because my hair used to be quite a bit darker when I was younger. It's gotten a bit more
brown or
I was born with red hair, like
Hmm.
painfully red hair.
Hmm.
Like red, like this is a good start, but even redder, darker
Really?
and brighter.
Yeah.
The kind of a makes your retinas abnormally red hair. Like that was when I was born. And I had a red hair ever since I was 7 years old, and all of a sudden, poof, it was nearly black because my
Hmm.
father had black hair. And then when I was in my 30s, 35, etc., and after I had had my son, that's when I noticed the red notes coming in. And all of a sudden, I was the same flaming red hair that I was when I was a child,
Hmm.
until it started to become more brown, but still it's red in the sun-ish.
Yeah, in the sun, I bet it does. Yeah.
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 So, anyways,
Well, in talking about,
that doesn't even matter. But the
I
thing
know.
is, it's very interesting to think about how your family has traveled and how you're
Yeah.
human, and kind of be like, I need to be kinder to my human self.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm very familiar with my elemental side, with my galactic side. It's my human self that is being neglected. And now I'm thinking I will start relishing in the humanness, and I will start paying homage to my human history. So
Well, there's a never ending amount of information,
yeah.
right? And so, yes, I have a lot in this lifetime to look at, and from photographs to so forth, and the family tree, as they say. But
Yeah.
then very excited to be aware and learn about the other lifetimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Do you
and talking
know
about,
of your earthly, like your human history? Do you know where your family
well,
traveled
like I
from?
said,
Where?
I just basically know that there's Germany,
Germany and
Russia,
Russia.
and Poland. Yeah, I mean, I know that those are in the last couple generations, but beyond that, I always thought it would be something I would look more into
Yeah.
later. You know what I mean? I hadn't slowed down
I'll
to
lend you a
sit there and
scarf.
digest it. And no, and I have all that information packed away. I haven't looked at it, but then realized if we've had when we've had our off-world experiences, we didn't have to worry about our style because they probably didn't have clothing. So
No,
there you
and the
go.
thing is, just I've actually, oh, this is hot. It's woolen scarf. And the thing is, they also have, like, we care so much about the appearances, but that is, to me, that needs to be taken as something fun and something
Yeah,
that elevates you. But
yeah,
really, these guys there, they have creatures that look like fishies,
interesting. Yeah.
like blue giant fishies.
Now that's conversation that so many people at this
Mhm.
stage still just couldn't grasp.
And
But
hindrances you haven't
mhm,
even seen in the science fiction
right,
films. I
right,
mean, there's all kinds. You have someone who look like kind of like humanoid, very human. Like there are things that you may have seen in some of the mainstream media movies.
right.
People like that. But then you have the green people, and the blue people, and like
Yep.
my purple and pink people. And and you have all kinds of people.
Yeah.
And usually what I've found out that the most common denominator when it comes to them, everyone is always taller than me.
Oh,
Like I'm always, but I kind of I feel at home with the dinky little thinginess,
yeah, yeah.
like the small stature. I'm used to that. It feels very
Well,
homely. I don't mind.
yeah. Well, and as a fairy, you're not big when you're a fairy either. So,
No,
but I
no,
mean,
and
all
even
this,
as a fairy, I'm shorter than your average fairy even. Like I'm
yeah,
short even there.
yeah. Well, the like I say, we're gonna run short of time, but
Yeah.
basically, it's fun to have these conversations and that openness and awareness, and for people who obviously we have been under the thumb of some not so great people in this lifetime and for centuries, basically. And they've used our these things against us and, you know, kept us from learning some things. So it's going to be exciting to each one of us in our awakening discover new things about us. Takes a whole new meaning to a lot of things. Very awesome creations.
Yeah.
So, any parting words?
No, I think you say the most beautiful parting and starting word. I think we should have it kind of a set in stone that Juliann will be the parting word and the starting word. I think it kind of a beautifully comes together right then and there.
Well, there you go. Because, like I said, you had a lot of, you had prepared for this very well.
I hadn't. It was all an inspiration. I had no idea. But then I was thinking, I got the books and I got the thoughts, and I was, oh, go hug trees. You get ideas when you hug trees. That's what I can say.
Nature will talk to you, or nature will open up your heart space. And I don't know, and just breathing in the air, hopefully it's fairly fresh air, and so forth. But you know, it changes your perspective, getting out beyond the four walls of a building and artificial light that's in many things. So anyway, we just got together to have a little bit of a chat, and many of you have been learning some of the same things, and it's fun, and there's lots to discuss and lots to learn. So glad that you came along, and we wish you all a great evening, a great day, wherever you are. And until we chat again, thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Juliann. Bye-bye.
Bye.